Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Battle Stadium singles video here on iStarLead TV. This is part of my Road to Master series where I try to climb the online ranked Battle Stadium singles ladder. And today we have a brand new team here, as you can see, for the Regulation H meta, which is a fairly newer format, and of course Paradox Pokemon and Legendary Pokemon are banned, which is amazing. And so I feel like there's a lot of room to explore a lot of unique Pokemon that maybe did not get a chance to shine when they were released in the DLC, for example. And that's what we're doing here, so I'll just kind of get right to the team. This is a team centered around, this is a Pokemon that I like. This is like one of my favorite competitive Pokemon to use that is also probably one of my least favorite Pokemon in terms of design and looks, and that is Espathra. I think this Pokemon is so ugly, but in competitive battling, I really like using it. I've used it on several teams in the past, and it's a really good Pokemon in my opinion. I think there's a couple different ways that you can build it, and it's actually surprisingly good because it does have speed boost. So the goal with this team is to lead with Espathra, and basically just spam Lumina Crash if the opponent either is weak to it or takes neutral damage from it. And then once we've accumulated enough speed boosts just kind of organically, just by, spamming Lumina Crash, we can baton pass those speed boosts to one of our teammates and just kind of, potentially sweep or just kind of, do a lot of damage to the opponent or really threaten them. Because, all of these Pokemon already have okay speed, if not solid speed, but getting those speed boosts just makes them even better. Espathra also has the Key Berry, which means when it gets hit by a physical attack, it will get a defense boost. That item could also be Focus Sash, just to kind of guarantee that we get off like a Lumina Crash before we Baton Pass or Faint. But as you can see, I have Focus Sash on another Pokemon. And Key Berry's cool because if we take like a slightly weak physical attack, we get that defense boost, and then we can also pass the defense boost to whatever we baton pass. So again, whether that's Sinistcha or Salamence or Samurott or whatever. And from there, we've got Assault Vest Arcanine, which is a pretty interesting one. It could be Choice Banded, but I just thought the ability to kind of switch moves was preferred for this set, and we're just going to try out Assault Vest. Arcanine has pretty solid defenses, and its typing is unique. I mean, its typing is honestly, defensively, its typing is not great because it's super weak to water and ground and fighting. It's weak to a lot of common things, but as you can see there, we are Terra Normal, which means that we can, go Terra Normal, which shifts a lot of our weaknesses, and it allows us to go for a stab Extreme Speed. With Rock Head, our Flare Blitz, Head Smash, and Wild Charge also do massive damage. So that's what we're trying out with Arcanine. I really like it, and I know I've used it in the past, but I think it has a good spot in the meta right now. Then we've got a bulky Salamence, which has a lot of HP investment. I think just enough speed to outspeed certain threats. Of course, we also do have Dragon Dance and Roost, and then Heavy Duty Boots to switch into Stealth Rock. I know I've used a similar set before as well, and I really like it. And then finally, a few more Pokemon here. We're trying out Sinistcha today, and Sinistcha is a Pokemon, I think that's how you say it, Sinistcha, it's so weird. This is a Pokemon that I think got really overlooked, at least in singles, when it was released, because it was a brand new Pokemon that was added in the Teal Mask DLC, but because when Teal Mask was added, we already had access to Paradox Pokemon and the kind of, what are they called, like legendary Pokemon. It was not a good Pokemon, unfortunately, because its typing is kind of awkward, and of course, obviously Flutter Mane was so dominant, but in this meta, I actually think Sinistcha has a lot of potential. It's interesting, it's really funny, it has the ability Heat Proof, and with Heat Proof, it's actually a really good answer to most common Dragonite builds, because Dragonite typically runs Extreme Speed and Earthquake, which we are immune to and resist, and then also sometimes runs Fire Punch, which we take kind of resisted damage thanks to the ability Heat Proof. So Sinistcha is actually a solid Pokemon to switch into Dragonite. It also has the ability, the move Strength Sap, which is a really, really annoying move. It's one of those moves where sometimes you face it and you're just not prepared for it, and it just feels like impossible to overcome. So Strength Sap, what it does, just in case you don't know, it's really kind of crazy. It heals the user by an amount of HP equal to the enemy's attack stat, and then it also lowers the enemy's attack stat. So against physical attackers, we basically go up to full health, and we lower their attack stat so that whenever they hit us again, they're doing less damage, and we can keep spamming Strength Sap until we're really healthy, and until their attack stat is at like -5. So it gives Sinistcha a lot of survivability against physical attackers. And then with its 2 moves, it has its exclusive move, Matcha Gotcha, which is really funny name. It's basically like a hybrid of Giga Drain and Scald. It's a grass type move, obviously. I think it's 80 base power, which is pretty good. And it heals Sinistcha a little bit, and it has like a 20% chance to burn the enemy, which is actually really good. And then for the last move, I'm running Scald, which obviously it offers decent coverage for Sinistcha. The awkward thing here is that it means that we don't have like a move to really hit Dragonite super hard unless Dragonite terastallizes. But I think we're okay. Like if we can burn Dragonite, and then of course if we're spamming Strength Sap, I think we're okay against Dragonite. And of course we also have Nasty Plot to kind of set up in its face if we want to. The last 2 Pokemon, we have Samurott, Hisuian Samurott. This is with Focus Sash and Taunt. I kind of added Samurott just as a little bit of a potential like counter lead kind of thing. So if the enemy has Pokemon that are really good against Espathra in the lead slot, maybe I can just lead with Samurott instead. I can taunt them, and then I can spam Ceaseless Edge, which does solid damage, and it also sets up spikes. And then Aqua Cutter and Sacred Sword are there for coverage, and they both hit pretty hard as well. And then finally, we've got Loaded Dice Excadrill with Mold Breaker. Mold Breaker is also a really strong ability. It ignores Dragonite's multi-scale. It ignores, you know, other problematic abilities like Mimikyu's Disguise, and it can just hit really hard. I mean, Excadrill is just a strong Pokemon. It hits really hard, and its speed stat is also pretty decent. So if we can pass a boost from Espathra, you know, Excadrill can be a monster in the late game. So there's the team. We're going to see how it works out. It's a pretty just well-rounded, just balanced team. You know, the kind of main game plan is lead with Espathra, spam Lumina Crash, and then pass some speed boosts to my teammates. But we have a couple of plan Bs or plan Cs that can kind of play differently even despite, or even if that doesn't work for us. So let's get to some games. All right, here is game number 1, and my opponent's team is really cool. They've got a couple Pokemon that you don't typically see, notably Serena, which I really like. I've been wanting to use Serena, but honestly, I don't know, maybe I'll try her out. Magnezone's also a really good Pokemon, but it just doesn't see that much play, at least right now. And then Rhyperior is another one that's pretty interesting. Looking at Rhyperior, I like Sinistcha. I actually like Sinistcha against... actually, I don't know. I like it against Rhyperior and Primarina, but those are also kind of bulky Pokemon, and of course they can always Terastallize. I like leading Espathra here. Obviously, one Pokemon that could give that trouble is the Hydreigon, but if they lead Hydreigon, I actually do have Dazzling Gleam. Then... honestly, that Primarina is going to be an issue. I might bring Salamence just to try to hit it really hard. Magnezone's another problem, though. Okay, I guess I'm just going to bring 2 heavy hitters in the form of Dragonite, or I'm sorry, Excadrill and Salamence. My opponent doesn't have that many Pokemon that are like super tanky, like a Garganacl kind of thing or Dondozo. So even though they do have some Pokemon with like decent bulk, like I feel like if I can set up with either Excadrill or Salamence, we can be in a pretty decent position here. So see what they lead with. That's also going to determine like the flow of the battle. They do lead with Ceruledge, which is kind of scary in all honesty. Let's see, what is my speed stat at? Oh no, wait. 149. I think I might be faster than Ceruledge even before protecting. I think I'm just going to protect anyway. It just lets us scout what they do. I guess the problem here would be if they Swords Dance. If they Swords Dance, this is going to actually be a pretty big problem. They do, okay. So now what I'm going to have to do is... what are the odds that they Bitter Blade? I'm just going to Lumina Crash. I guess they could also Shadow Sneak, which I would not enjoy. They don't Shadow Sneak, okay. I think Excadrill is faster than... Oh, but they're just going to heal back to full. So that's a big problem. I think I have to go into Salamence to get the Intimidate on them. And I believe I'm a little bit faster than they are. Would I ever Dragon Dance in that case? Or I could go Excadrill and Rock Blast. Okay, Excadrill is faster, and I know Excadrill will be faster than Ceruledge. There's a chance Salamence is not faster. So... I think I just go Excadrill here. Earthquake does more damage, so I think I just go Earthquake. Now, of course, they could also Terrastalize. It's always funny how small Excadrill is. It's really funny. Let's see. Because it's a Pokemon that looks so intimidating, it looks so strong. But then when you see it, like, actual size, it's, like, really tiny. Okay, they don't Terra. They could have Focus Sash. They do, okay. And then they just get to Bitter Blade. Actually, this was dumb. I should have Terrastalized there and predicted this. That's a problem. Yeah, they just Bitter Blade. This probably kills me. Wow. Alright, gonna go into Salamence now, and they're gonna be faster because they got the weak armor boost. I get the Intimidate off. I don't know if I can Dragon Dance. Because if I Dragon... I should survive a hit here. I don't know. I should survive a hit here, but I don't think I can afford to. I mean, there's also a chance I miss this dual wing beat, which would be really funny. Ceruledge is a strong Pokemon. It is a Pokemon I've been wanting to try out. See what they do here. I mean, they could... Okay, yeah, what? Why did they Bitter Blade? Did they think I was going to Terra? I feel like that was a mistake on their part. I mean, I'm not even certain this dual wing beat kills them. Oh wow, it doesn't even... Oh, well, actually, now it will, because they get the defense drop, which is really funny. I was going to say, one way I could have guaranteed that I kill them is by Terrastalizing. However, if I Terrastalize, then I take more damage from the Bitter... I probably just die to it. We're definitely on the back foot right now. We can still Terra if we need to, but we are Terra Flying, which is not a good defensive Terra type here, because we are already a Flying type, so if they just go for like an Ice or Rock type move, we're still going to take a lot of damage. Probably die. Okay, they go Hydreigon. Oh. Well, yeah. Let's see what happens here. I mean, maybe I should have... Well, no, I don't know. I was going to say maybe I should have Roosted, but... They still have not Terrastalized as well. So if they're Terra Steel... Honestly, if they're Terra Steel, I think it's game over. Well, it is game over if they're Terra Steel, because we just can't hit them in that case. Okay. If they Terrastalize too, I think that shows that we're faster than them, because we Terrastalized first. But I should live any hit from them. I mean, maybe. I'm not sure. Unless they're like choice specs. Hydreigon hits really hard, but Salamence is pretty tanky. They do go Dark Pulse. Please no flinch. Please no flinch. I saw the text of the Life Orb and I thought it meant that I flinched and I was going to scream. What? That does so little damage. What? How weak is Salamence? Alright, we lose. We lose. Yeah, there's nothing we can do. That's fine. I'm max attack. What happened? I guess they're tanky or something. They must have some defense or... Yeah, maybe some defense or HP investment. All right, we almost got there. Yeah, we almost got there with Salamence alone, which is pretty cute. I like Salamence. Yeah, that was a big misplay on my part in the early game. I even called it, right? Simply the fact that they got off a Swords Dance with Ceruledge, that cost me the game. I should have... And that's a situation where if I had Focus Sash on Espathra, I wouldn't have had to worry. I could have just spammed or gone for Lumina Crash right off the bat, and then... I would just be in a great position at that point because it would be a 2-hit KO against them. And if they had gone for Swords Dance there, we would have basically gotten a free turn there. So that was a big mistake on my part. And that kind of just shows how crazy these battles are. They are very fast-paced, the 3v3. And sometimes you make one small mistake, one small decision, and the entire tide of the battle shifts. So yeah, if we had just clicked Lumina Crash right off the bat, I think we would not have, I'm not saying we would have definitely won, but we would have been in a much better position because we were just playing from behind the entire time. But it was still fun. So let's go to game 2. All right, we have a game 2, and my opponent has some interesting Pokemon as well. They have Milotic, which is really, really tanky. They also have Weavile, which is kind of scary. And honestly, they have a lot of, like, almost their whole team is good against Sinistcha. I mean, Milotic is not, but who do I want to lead with here? Of course, the question is always, do I lead with Espathra? And in this case, I think I can. One problem is if they happen to lead Goodra, but I don't know if they would ever lead with Goodra. Okay, so who else do I like here? Salamence. If I bring Salamence, I'm gonna want it to have some speed, because otherwise it does get outsped by a lot of their team. I do like Sinistcha, but again, it's good against Garchomp, good against Milotic. It's kind of it, so maybe I don't bring it. Do I for sure bring this? Do I ever bring Samurott? Huh. I kind of want to bring Samurott as a lead instead. Just try something different here. It lets me be more offensive right off the bat. And then I guess just these guys. I mean, the problem here is my opponent's team. Yeah, my opponent's team is fast, and my team isn't. Like the previous team, it was fine. My team was fine because their team wasn't super fast. But this time around, my opponent's team, like, they have like 3 Pokemon that are pretty fast. So I just kind of have to keep that in mind. But they do lead with Milotic, as I lead with Samurott. Wonder what they could go for here. I guess it's possible they could go like Dragon Tail. I'm just gonna start with a taunt. Just kind of see what happens. Obviously, I'm a water type, so they're not gonna want to hit me with a water or ice type move. They could have Dragon Tail. I think sometimes Milotic runs Dragon Tail. They could have like Coil, Substitute. But they just go Scald right off the bat. Okay. Obviously, that does very little damage, and of course, they do get the burn. I was gonna say, obviously, that does very little damage, but there's a chance that it can burn me, and of course that's what happens, so very unfortunate. I'm just gonna spam Ceaseless Edge till I die at this point. It does okay damage. Interestingly as well, my opponent does not have a Marvel scale with like Flame Orb, which is kind of probably one of the more common sets on Milotic. I wonder if they have a competitive. And maybe they were expecting me to lead with Espathra and go for Lumina-Crash, which would have given them the competitive boost. Competitive is basically like Defiant, but for special attack. Yeah, so we're just going to set up these spikes and get off damage while we're at it. I imagine they have like Recover or something like that. So if the taunt ends here... This is where I wish I would have brought in Sinistcha. I think I might taunt again. Huh. I'm gonna taunt. They're probably just gonna Scald again. I don't think they lose anything for doing it, but I just wanna... Oh, yes, I made the right prediction. See, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's like a high risk, high reward kind of thing. I was expecting them to potentially go for Recover or something like that. And the fact that they did is huge because it means we get one more Ceaseless Edge before we die here. I just wanted to, because I felt like if I didn't taunt there, you know, obviously Ceaseless Edge is doing negligible damage, or it's not doing that much damage. And then if they got off a Recover, then they would just kill me the next turn. And then whatever I go into has to face a full health Milotic. Whereas at this point, now it's a lot easier to take this Milotic down. Now the question is, who is that going to be? Like, obviously, Arcanine has some good attacks against Milotic, but I mean, maybe I just go for that, right? Just Wild Charge. And then save Salamence. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Save Salamence for later. I don't need to overthink it. Because Salamence has Intimidate, which is really nice. There's a chance they're faster than me, which would be really bad. I would probably die if... Well, I have Assault Vest. Okay, cool. We get to finish them off with Wild Charge. We take no recoil damage because of Rockhead, which is amazing. And I think this puts us in a decent position momentum-wise. I mean, we're 2v2 now. Whatever they go into, you know, obviously they have a lot of moves that are super effective against Arcanine on their team, so, you know, we just got to keep that in mind. Yeah, Garchomp's kind of the one I was thinking of. Oh, they take a lot of damage from spikes. That's great. Okay. I'm kind of tempted to just Terra here. Now, obviously, we will take extra damage from the Rough Skin, but let's just go ahead and do that. I think if they do go like Earthquake, I think we survive it, because obviously at that point we're no longer weak to it. They might also go like Scale Shot, which means we would be doing more damage with Extreme Speed the next turn. And if they like Swords Dance, that's also just fine with me. I think this is just a fine play on my part. I don't know how much this will do. It'll depend on what their set is. Garchomp is another Pokemon that's just so good, and I expect to be really, really good in this meta because it's so versatile. It's extremely strong. It can be a tank or a damage dealer that does so much damage. So we're probably going to go down to the Rough Skin here, but if we can knock out Garchomp, that puts us in a pretty great position. They go Terra here, though, which is honestly going to probably be Terra Steel, which is a big problem. Yeah, of course it is Terra Steel. All right. So, yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. I don't think there's any way we kill them, even with, like, a crit. Ah, that's close. Yeah. Are we dead? I mean, we are dead. Like, even if the Rough Skin doesn't kill us, the Earthquake will. And that Earthquake did a lot of damage. I wonder if there's a chance that their Choice Banded. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go into Salamence. I get the Intimidate for what it's worth. If they are Choice, they're gonna have to switch out. If they're not Choice, they might go like Scale Shot. Of course, we can no longer Terrastalize. This might be weird. Let's see, if we Dragon Dance and they kill us with a Dragon move, then it doesn't matter what we do. If we Dragon... See, I don't think there's a world where Dragon Dancing is a mistake here. So I'm gonna Dragon Dance. Yeah, and they do switch out, which is nice. And they go into Gengar, which I like. Now, if their Choice Scarf on the Garchomp... Wait, actually... I think I might win here. I think I just won. Because now I'm faster than Gengar because of the Dragon Dance. Unless their Choice Scarf Gengar, which would be really funny. I just go Earthquake because there's no risk of missing. And usually Gengar runs Focus Sash. And the Focus Sash is now broken thanks to the spikes. Beautiful. And then I think the Garchomp now dies to the spikes. So that was an awesome game. Yeah, that was great. I feel like I navigated that one pretty well. Yep, it dies to the spikes. Perfect. So that's great. Like, that game we get to see how valuable Ceaseless Edge with spikes is. And Samurott's another Pokemon. Samurott, honestly, I think is kind of being slept on. There's Samurott and Kleavor are two Pokemon that have exclusive moves that do good damage and also set up entry hazards, which is really, really strong because you get to be proactive and get off damage on the enemy while also setting up those spikes, or in Kleavor's case, Stealth Rocks. So, yeah, these are two Pokemon, Hisuian Samurott and Kleavor, that I definitely want to build around more. And it was super clutch, that game. I love that. You know, I was kind of unsure of who I was bringing, but again, I think I made the right calls there. And it's funny because, I mean, I guess, you know, if I didn't Dragon Dance against the Garchomp, I was going to Earthquake anyway, and they would have just gone into Garchomp and died. But either way, that was a fun one. That was a great game. Yeah, let's go to game 3. We have a game number 3. My opponent's team, once again, is scary. I always say that, though, don't I? They have Galvantula, which I really love. That's another Pokemon I want to build around. Excuse me, the thing about Galvantula is it likely has Sticky Web and Focus Sash, probably, so that is going to be a little bit of a problem here. Espathra does look like a pretty good lead, but, you know, if I Baton Pass some speed boosts, it might not matter because of the Sticky Web. I like Salamence here as well. And then finally, I think Hydreigon's going to be a problem. And then Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is just something I don't like to see because it's super tanky. I think I want to bring Arcanine because I would have to Terrastalize it. Let's see. But Arcanine seems pretty good against like Volcarona, Hydreigon, and Mandibuzz. And then do I just bring Salamence like I wanted. Or I could bring Excadrill. It feels bad that I didn't get to show off Sinistcha in this video. But I really don't think this looks like a good Sinistcha game. I'll have to bring it back. If I don't end up bringing Sinistcha in this video, I will bring it back into another team, or maybe just run this team back in a future video. Because I was testing with this team. I did a little bit of testing with this team, not as much as I usually do on Showdown, but Sinistcha was actually really good. Like, I had a couple games where it was pretty solid. So anyways, they lead with Galv, and they could Bug Buzz here, which would be a problem. But I actually think they're just going to Sticky Web, so I'm just going to fire off that Lumina Crash right off the bat, and they do Sticky Web, which is great. I mean, there's a world where Espathra alone sweeps this team, so we'll have to see how this plays out. They do have 2 Dark types, though. Yeah, that does massive damage, and now thanks to the speed boost, I'm going to be faster than the Galvantula. I put enough speed EVs in Espathra to outspeed Dragapult after 1 speed boost, and of course Dragapult's basically the fastest Pokemon in the meta. They are going to switch here though, which is probably going to be into a Dark type, like I said. It's kind of a reason why I brought Salamence, as I also said. They go into Hydreigon. Now, the question is, are they going to expect me to have Dazzling Gleam? If they don't Terra here, they are dead, and that is beautiful. But I'm just going to go for it anyway. They could go Terra Poison or Terra Steel, which are the most common Hydreigon Terra types. They don't Terra. Oh, yes. That's the literal reason why I have Dazzling Gleam on this set. Because when I run this Espathra set, sometimes I go like Protect, Lumina Crash, Calm Mind, and Baton Pass, just so I have other boosts to pass. But, you know, sometimes you have situations like that where if you're spamming Lumina Crash, obviously the enemy can just go right into a Dark type and ruin your day. And so that's why I have Dazzling Gleam, and it completely paid off there. And we are looking at an Espathra sweep here. And the funny thing is, if they go into something that Espathra doesn't like here, we can just Baton Pass. And even though Sticky Web is up, we've accumulated so many speed boosts now that it kind of doesn't matter. Wow, they go into Haxorus. Okay. Huh. Haxorus is actually really scary. I could Baton Pass into Mence to get off the Intimidate. Or I could just Lumina Crash just to get off damage. If they go Terra Steel, Lumina Crash kind of doesn't matter because my last 2 Pokemon are physical attackers. I mean, right now we have the upper hand. I'm just going to Lumina Crash because if they Terra... Oh, okay. I was overthinking it. I mean, obviously we were in a huge position. We had all 3 Pokemon left and none of them had taken any damage. So... yeah, like obviously we were at a massive advantage there, but I still felt like there was a world where we could lose that game. I was kind of scared. Like, for example, if I go maybe Lumina Crash and they go Terra Steel with Haxorus and then they go like, I don't know, Dragon Dance or something. I don't know. And then they can like maybe the next turn go for like a super strong move because Haxorus is really strong. And then they kill my Espathra and then I go into Mence and they're at +1 speed. I don't know. I just kind of... We were probably winning that game like 8 times out of 10, but of course there was a chance we could lose. So yeah, that was a really, really fun one. I enjoyed it. And like I said, it's unfortunate that I didn't get to show off Sinistcha in this game, but I will definitely bring it back because like I said, in testing, there were some games where Sinistcha was actually really solid. But we did get to show off Arcanine, which is great. We got to really show off Samurott, which I like a lot. We got to show off Espathra, which is kind of nothing new because like I said, I like using it. And then Salamence is just another Pokemon that I really, really love, and it's been doing really well for me. Even before this meta, like even in earlier Scarlet and Violet, I used Salamence a lot. And I think it's a really versatile Pokemon. I think there was even a time where I was using like Choice Spec Salamence. So yeah, Salamence is like the pseudo Dragonite. It has the same typing. It has Intimidate, which is massive, and it has higher speed, but... obviously, Dragonite, unfortunately, is better overall because it has multi-scale and extreme speed and stuff like that, but it's just fun to try out Pokemon that are not commonly used, and that's what I was trying to do with this team, because I was looking at all the other teams I have, and I'm like, I'm using Espathra a lot, I'm using, like, Whimsicott a lot. I want to try to, you know, mix things up. So in the next video, I'll do my best to have other Pokemon that I don't typically use, just because, you know, it's fun, and like I said, there's so many Pokemon in this meta who you could never use when Fluttermane and Qianpao and Zacian and all those Pokemon were around. And now, again, it just really opens the door for a lot of these Pokemon. So anyways, of course, let me know in the comments if you have suggestions. If there's a Pokemon that you don't see very often in singles, leave it in the comments, and, you know, I can try to build a team around it. You know, I am a firm believer of the fact that in Battle Stadium singles, almost anything can be viable. So as long as it's like a fully evolved Pokemon, you know, let me know and I'll try it out, even if it's like something like Cricketune or something weird. All right, well, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves and stay cool. I'm in California, so it's really, really hot, even though it's September. But stay cool either way, wherever you are in the world.